What's up, my ninjas? I am Strident, and I am back with another toy review. This time, I'm pretty geeked. I'm usually geeked about these things, but I'm bringing you the Hasbro Marvel movie series Avengers Captain America. It's crazy because at first I didn't like this costume, and then when I saw the movie and I actually saw it in action, I was like, okay, I like it. And this figure does it justice on every single level. Hasbro has improved on just about every deficiency that the first Avenger Cap figure had. They come back with another deficiency though, but there's only one thing wrong with this figure, and I will get to that in the review. But this is a stellar figure, super stellar figure. They did everything right. Paint is minimal paint. This is one of those figures that you can tell they designed and mass produced on a budget. Especially being that these figures dropped when the movie came out. Actually, some people had these figures last year, and there were cats in the Philippines that had these figures last year, and I've reviewed the movie, I've seen it a couple times, and I'm only seeing these figures now. Anyway, this figure kind of feels like the people at Hasbro that were working on this particular project, they dug the old Toy Biz Marvel Legends. Because this feels more like a Marvel Legends toy than the current Marvel Legends. And I'm going to go into details as to why, but like, just when you look at some of the positions and poses and, dynamic shots that I've taken of this character, when you see this figure in person and you put him in these poses and you feel the heft of the figure, he actually feels kind of weighty. He doesn't feel like a cheaply made plastic figure. When you see how easily he kind of conforms to whatever positions you put him in, and the fact that they included rocker joints that work kind of like the Soda Street Fighter joints and less like the new G.I. Joe joints, it's kind of like, wow, these guys actually did their thing. I mean, they went to I don't know, they went to town with the designs. I'm like besides myself with praise. I picked up two of these, one for my son and one for me, because he's the big Captain America fan. He's the Marvel in our family. I'm a DC all the way. But this figure, I did collect Captain America books back in the day. I did love the movie and, Cap, and then I enjoyed the Avengers a lot. Now I can goof off and have Cap save the world in my house. But anyway, the big glaring issue with this figure is the shield. I'm going to have a couple comparisons later on, but you'll see it. But articulation-wise, just about anything you saw him do in the movie, this figure can do. Unlike the first Avenger, Captain America, this Captain America has a full range of motion with his arms. He can actually put them above his head, and they don't jut outward like they did on that figure. He actually has the proper leg joints or hip joints. He doesn't have that stupid, two pegs sticking up on the left and right side of the bottom portion of his hips. I'm talking about the inside of the crotch where the two hip ball joints should be. There's not two pegs sticking upward and then the figure's legs are hanging off of those. Instead, they did the dumbbell that goes across, just like in all the old figures that we grew up collecting and in G.I. Joes and many other figures. And it's awesome. It works perfectly. Perfectly. You can have him actually sit down. A pose like this doesn't look strange. It's just, for the first time, Hasbro is actually firing. Well, I shouldn't say for the first time, but with these 6-inch figures, they're firing on all cylinders, and it's working. They're actually going somewhere. It's strange, though. I'm only seeing these. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm only seeing these figures. Only one of the Walmarts all around town. I've been to like 4 or 5 different Walmarts, and only one of them has had these figures. And I went back today. I got this 2 days ago. I went back today to see if they had any more, and they're gone. All they have is the battle-damaged Iron Man, which is just a repaint of the Mark VI from the previous, movie line. So yeah, these figures, I mean, they need to work on their distribution so that we can get our hands on these figures. I mainly only want Hawkeye because I already have a Hulk. It'd be nice to have a really posable Hulk, but, you know, whatever. But anyway, I'm getting off subject. They're really hard to find. So I'm surprised I found this, and I'm glad I did. Everything about this figure gives off that, well, allows you to recreate that epic feeling that is, you know, it's got to be what Avengers are all about and what Captain America was all about, you know? I don't feel like they skimped me on anything. You know how when I did the review about the Retaliation figures, I was like, Hasbro, what the fuck? You're skimping. They didn't skimp here, and I'm happy about that. I have to stress what I said earlier about just about every pose that you've seen him in, and just about everything you've seen him do in the movie, you can do with this figure. I mean, you can see right there, he's got the slight contrapposto going on with his, torso being, and his hips being, the weight shifted on his hips as he leans over and pushes his arms up to hold up that shield. I mean, like, you can really get some awesome poses out of this figure. Like I said earlier, also detail. There's no detail lacking with this figure. The paint is very minimal because what they did is, for the most part, this is several different plastics and minimal paint. I like this approach. If this is what the end result always will be, something of this kind of quality, then I'm all for it. I think we need more of this stuff and less of the fancy Nancy, quote unquote Marvel Legends that don't feel so much like Marvel Legends. Now, I have a couple Cap figures. And as you can see from all of them, there's, difference in scale. The height is different for each of them. The shield also, as I told you before, is very small. You'll be able to see that with the side-by-side comparison going on. The very first Marvel Legends Cap has the biggest shield. Second biggest shield is the the next Captain America, which is Ultimate Cap. And then it seems like this year they've been making the shield smaller. The first Avenger Cap, I thought at first that his shield was small. Turns out his shield is actually big, much bigger than both Steve Rogers from Marvel Legends and the movie Captain America from the Avengers. Shartimus Prime mentioned it, and I'm saying it again. I said this as soon as I saw that the shield was smaller. You can just swap out the shields. If you happen to have another Captain America, swap them out. This new shield has some type of new school approach to how you put it on, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm just focusing on scale of the two figures right now, and the difference in the shield size. You need the shield to be big. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense for him to have that Marvel vs. Capcom sized shield. I mean, and I get it too, it's kind of minimal, and you got to think, a lot of people might have had their Captain America on a shelf for a while. So, you don't really look at it the same when it's been sitting on a shelf for a long time. Then you get this new figure, and it's like, oh, wow, everything looks right. Until you put him next to your, previous Cap, and then you see there's a problem. So I think many wouldn't really notice the issue. Something you will notice is the difference in scale. This first Avengers Cap is actually a lot bigger than the Avengers Cap is a lot bigger than the first Avenger Cap. And I don't understand why they didn't just do this from the get-go, where the first Avenger Cap was to this scale. But, I'm glad they finally fixed their mistake. You can see everything's been kind of upped, like a little bit, like a head and shoulders more. It's like one body more. But the shield, they got rid of the whole clip piece that you've seen on Marvel Legends. I think just about all the Marvel Legends have had a clip. And Steve had the peg so you can put it in his back. This one has straps. Instead of the loops that you see there on the original, the first Avenger cap, they put these straps. So I guess they're trying to go for the comic accurate strap to your back look. And, you know, personally, I don't mind pegs in their backs. You know, the Marvel Universe figures have them. Steve Rogers has them. I don't even mind the elastic bands that have been there since the very first Marvel Legends. They have the elastic bands in addition to the clip. I kind of think it's stupid that they got rid of that. But, you know, for every plus, there's a minus, it seems. But in this case, I'm going to take this minus because there's like so many pluses, and this is the shield is the only minus. I personally am a big fan of old school Cap and ultimate Cap. I think I've said this so much, and I have to stress it. It's Ultimates, the first two, that I love. The rest seems so ugh. But this movie design kind of takes the best of both worlds. It's easily a combination of Ultimate Cap and you know, original Cap, and I think it's awesome. And you know, like I said earlier, there are details up the wazoo, and you know, there's really nothing lacking on this figure. You know, the shield, it would have been awesome for them to give you, you know, maybe give you two shields, give you the original first Avenger shield and that one. I don't know, it doesn't seem very likely because Cap always gets one accessory because that's the one thing he uses, but it just seems like they hit the nail on the head with this one. Not much to ask for them to fix or to change or anything. If you loved what you saw in the movie, you will love this. And it's strange because initially I didn't really like the costume, and you know, like I said, it grew on me after seeing it in motion, and I'm seeing all the parts do what they're supposed to do, and I understand what it's supposed to do. You know, he's got the Nomex gloves, he's got the you know, kind of baggier pants, but whatever. The suit looks cool. Now this is me testing out poses, action poses, because you know, that's one of those things I like to do. I mean, at some point I'm going to put together a little animation, and I need figures that can do what I imagine. And coming from a comic background and an animation background, some of this stuff just seems like second nature. I mean, as you can see, it doesn't matter what I'm coming up with, this figure can actually do it. And it doesn't look stupid. You know, he looks like he just did a flip, you know, a cartwheel with one hand, and then he poses. He's about to throw a shield. You know, diving poses. He looks proper, and you know, as long as you get the right angle, it's perfect. That movie poster pose. There he is behind his shield. That's kind of an optical illusion, but you can do it. And he also looks pretty decent when you put him up against, or you know, in a display with other characters. There he is backhanding Majin Buu, or Buu. I dig that. I just think that, you know, it's awesome. They made him look good with other characters, like I said. I mean, from other universes, you know. Somehow the details on their armor just look like these guys could exist in the same world. And the sculpting, it almost feels like, you know, the Horseman did that. He looks good with Marvel Legends and Marvel Select and other Marvel Studios by Hasbro figures. I mean, my biggest test was, does he look right with all the Avengers? And I think you will agree with me, he fucking does. You know? And that's really the only test. It's done. There's nothing more for me to say, nothing more for me to ask. It's just practically a perfect figure. I think if you like Captain America, if you like the Avengers, if you like Marvel Legends, you know, this is a better quote-unquote Marvel Legend than the Marvel Legends they've been releasing. It's clearly better than Bucky Cap, clearly better than the Steve Rogers figure. It's clearly better than 95% of the Marvel Legends figures that were out, and that's barring Thor because I think that Thor figure is just amazing. It was like they did exactly what was necessary, but this figure is top notch. There's no reason for you not to get this if you see him. Now, if you guys know any spots that still have them and you can get a hold of Hawkeye and the Hulk, please let me know, because I'm still trying to get those guys. Let me know. I will send you money. We can do the damn thing, because I kind of want a smaller Hulk, because this ginormous Hulk is really hard to like do things with. He's perfect for a display, but he's not so cool for actual play. So yeah, this has been my review on the Hasbro Marvel movie series Avengers Captain America, and I think it's an awesome figure. And I am going to get off of here and play around with this figure because he's that awesome. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Peace outside.